A very warm welcome to all our listeners on the Vitrina podcast. A very special one today. We are actually sort of going to look at localization and one of the biggest problems in localization that has sort of persisted for years together. And this startup from Bangalore or Bengaluru, as I should call it, perhaps, is solving that problem with generative AI. Mandar, Shubho, welcome to the Vitrina podcast. We getting your voice to about 72,000 strong community that Vitrina has. It's a business community in the content business that's essentially looking for solutions, partnerships, and collaborations within the entertainment supply chain. Very warm welcome. Just to give a quick intro, Mandar is the CEO of VisualDub, and Shubho, who's also joining him, is the CTO of VisualDub. I'll let Mandar you introduce the company and the team.
Yeah, thanks, Atul. It's great to be on this podcast. It's a bright, sunny morning in SF, and we're so happy to be here. We've been following your updates for a lot of years now, and it's incredible that you've built this large community, and we're just happy to be, showcasing and talking about our technology to this community at large. So, in a nutshell, we've all watched dub films, right? And we've all felt that this whole experience sucks. Imagine watching a Korean film with English audio, and the audio is English. The spoken expressions of actors are Korean, and it calls what we define as visual discord. So obviously, this cannot be solved by humans, and it is only right that technology today help solve this at scale. So we've built VisualDub to solve this problem of visual discord and dubbed content. Now, when you watch a Korean film with English audio, you actually feel you're watching a film that has been shot in English itself. And that creates a seamless experience for viewers and for content creators and distributors. It's marvelous to connect with viewers in a language of their choice and preference.
Fascinating, and again, as a viewer, one has always experienced the fact that the especially in dubbed content, the lips are always moving in a different direction, and the actual audio is completely off sync. You folks obviously are sort of attacking that problem. It's a massive problem, correct? How
Correct.
how, how do you describe? Yeah, I mean, in every content that's being dubbed, it essentially is does occur.
Correct. Shubho, you want to answer this question from a tech point of view, and then I'll go on to the business aspect of it.
Sure. So essentially, what we have seen over the years is that people only consume duck content when it gets famous. Reference would be Money Heist, Squid Games. Uh, but if we have to breach that, dub content has to look really, really like original. And when we started this, we realized that every video kind of has a limitation. The limitation geographically where it's relevant, that is principally dictated by the language it's shot on. And the second is how long is it relevant? Because there's always a messaging in the video. It can be a communication from a director, it can be something from a creative artist. So when you specifically build technology which can change visual expressions using speech as a controller, you are expanding the reach of this video both geographically and temporally. So that is what we envision in Neural Garage, that with a click of a button, any content creator can instantly go global. There are no Bollywood stars or Hollywood stars, they're all global stars. So this technology we built with keeping that ambition in mind.
Fascinating. And Mandar, on the business side, how big is the problem? How would you describe the business case?
Yeah. Atul, do you remember this movie Parasite that released? I think sometime just
Korean movie.
Korean movie, right? It won all the Oscars, and
Perfect.
the director won the Oscar for best director that year. If you remember, when he went on stage, he was speaking in Korean, and there was a lady who was translating, right? In fact, the director pitched our technology to the whole world on that stage. When after he finished his speech, he said, "What you see below as subtitles is the biggest barrier to watching films from all over the world." And that stands, understanding language stands between you discovering great content from all over the world. And this is a problem that has been identified by every single person in the ecosystem, whether it's the director of Parasite or even Ted Sarandos, when he said our biggest challenge is to make content look and sound less dubby. Now, this, I mean, try as you might, you cannot make Tom Cruise speak in Japanese. That's physically impossible. And technology solves for it at scale. Now, a Tom Cruise movie dubbed in Japanese, is not a English film dubbed in Japanese. It becomes a Japanese film. And this really permeates across the entire entertainment long tail, whether it's a film made for theatrical or content created for streaming or distributed on streaming, or even broadcast networks that trade content. Serbian content goes to LATAM. I mean, you've been putting up all these updates, right?
That's right.
And Indian content going to the Middle East in Arabic and Turkish. We have seen content being traded left, right, center, and this becomes a great business case for creation, distribution, and adoption. And we see a massive potential for technology like this to change the way entertainment is created, distributed, and consumed.
That's right. That's right. And I think, one of the things that has happened is that in the last 5 years, we've actually seen streaming really become so mainstream. Especially post-COVID, we've had a record amount of international content breach boundaries and borders and go
Yes,
into markets that, those languages have never reached.
absolutely.
So I think, the use cases and the business cases are ever expanding. The one question I always usually ask new innovative solutions in our supply chain is, we recently had a few trade shows that got accomplished, right? Imagine yourselves running into a trade show and you meet, pick a name, Ted Sarandos, since you mentioned that. And he asks you, well, what does your company do? What's the elevator pitch?
The elevator pitch is Money Heist Season 10, which has been shot in Spanish and distributed in 100 languages all over the world, ceases to be a Spanish show. Now it becomes a show shot in every single language of distribution and consumption.
So essentially, you can't distinguish about, the language is not distinguishable as something
Absolutely.
that sticks out like a sore thumb.
Absolutely.
Got it. Understood. Understood. And then the one aspect also, just from, since Vitrina is all about the supply chain, and really looking at where does a particular solution fit in, right? How do you sort of look at that, from a supply chain sort of direction perspective? Who's your end customer? Who are you selling into?
So I'll answer some part of it, and maybe Shubho can add on. So for example, when you look at the entire creation, distribution, consumption process, once content is created, then it gets into post production, and the workflow really is the primary shoot, then post production, which involves VFX, editing, color, then dubbing, then distribution, right?
Right.
Our technology now creates a new category in the post production workflow that sits between dubbing and distribution. So once dubbing is done, VisualDub comes in to now sync the content, video and audio in every single language, and then it gets distributed. There is another interesting piece where this could fit in is when, for example, dialogue correction. So sometimes we've seen, right, and Hollywood leaks millions of dollars every year in the problem of reshoots, where you shoot a scene, it's a great scene, but somebody fumbles, then you have to shoot again, and the shoot again has a massive production cost implication. Now with technology like this, you don't need to do that. If you can a great scene, great. In post production, once the primary footage is there, you can easily solve it using VisualDub. And that's a
Fascinating.
very interesting, secondary use case to technology like us.
And one of the examples, in our discussion earlier this week, you were actually sort of talking about, words change, but the actor's lips have to now conform to that word change. That requires the reshoot. But without the reshoot, now you can actually sort of have the lips move very differently. and yet make the audio correction as well as then the correction, the corresponding correction in video.
Yeah. I think Shubho should be able to give an interesting tech perspective on this. Uh,
Yeah, so essentially, everything is a visual communication. And like Mandar said, that our software sweetly fits in any place wherever you're shooting a video. Every time, any actor, whether it's a professional one or an influencer, speaking mistakes are very common. Whilst performance is something that, you master over time, but dialogue delivery is still a memorizing work. And it also prohibits actors of, let's say, other countries who do not know the language from
Yeah.
being cast in roles that they are idle for. What this solution will enable you to do is separate delivery from performance, thereby
hmm.
allowing much more stars into the ecosystem uh, and saving a lot of time, especially when it's a multicast scene and someone makes a speaking mistake, like Mandar said. It is something which is very difficult to do. But if you can make both audio and video corrections in post, that saves a lot of time for both the actor, the producer, and the entire set. Essentially, what we have tried to build is we've seen the gaps which exist in the industry, and we're still trying to build for each of them. And we've seen primarily that both audio and video, when the language changes, there's a big dissonance which happens because now it's the voice of the dubbing artist. The spatial expressions don't match. So we started with both the lip sync and voice cloning solutions. And as we plug this to problems with our solutions, what we are now doing is we are allowing actors' voice to reach much more consumers, which is their original voice. We are allowing performance that they want people to see reach the consumers. So these two are the blocks that we have built for at the moment.
Fascinating. I want to also understand the genesis of this whole sort of idea. How did the idea come about? Also, the key aspect in terms of what are the simpler problems to solve, and what is really the difficult problem. I think you alluded earlier when we met about just keeping the video resolution the same, and yet being able to sort of deliver something that you cannot make out. That is actually something that's been touched on. So would love to understand both genesis as well as the problem difficulty matrix.
So I'll answer the first part. That's the easier one. The difficult one is where Shubho will kind of shed light because he is one of the founders who's built the tech. So the genesis is very simple. During COVID, all of us were at home, nothing to do except watch tons and tons of content on all streaming platforms, right? And that was when also because new content was not being created, existing content was being dubbed to just fill the content pipes. Now,
Yep.
one of our co-founders, Anjan, he loves to watch Korean content. And he basically watched like back-to-back Korean films and shows. And that's when it struck him that, what if this problem could be solved? And because my co-founders have a very, very deep background in facial recognition, they have built a startup in facial recognition, and they had an exit also in the US. They pretty much were in prime position to be able to take a shot at it. So the genesis for our technology VisualDub actually started sometime in late 2020 with Anjan consuming tons and tons of Korean content. On the second part of a question, I think Shubho is can explain that beautifully.
Yeah, so the primary challenge that we faced, when we built this, was that because we were targeting industries which are very high quality content which run on larger screens, the problems, the pixels, as larger they get, if you have any issues in your algorithm, they'll be more visible as well. For example, when you see things on phone, small discord or a small issue is not that visible, but if it's on TV, there's certain expectations that the producer, even the consumers have from the content which runs on TV, and even more so on theatrical, because the experience there is not just perfect, it has to be magical. And because we're building for this industry, so we are constantly pushed in the right way so that we can build for this. Apart from that, if you just think about the problem, essentially, we are just changing a part of the face, right? So if we compare this with certain other solutions, like let's say an avatar creation, which has a lot of value in other use cases, but here, the challenge is that if you change a part of the face, you have to match the quality of the other part. And if the screen sizes are big and there's a difference, the difference is going to show. So from day one, after several meetings that we had with different VFX studios and post-production studios, we were made aware that, look, we have 100% quality. We appreciate that you're bringing in sync, but it cannot be at the cost of quality. So that was the primary challenge that we had, because there's background, there's variation, there's lighting, and we essentially understand that we are working on faces of actors. Uh, their face is their IP. So it's very important that we retain features and qualities that they have. It can be even a small dimple, it can be smile lines. So our algorithm is built in such a way so that it respects and honors the unique facial features of actors that we work on.
Fascinating, fascinating. And I was actually also wanting to understand the way the solution breaks up. So there is obviously the video part of it, and then there is let's say there are 15 different audio tracks which correspond to, let's say, 15 dubbed languages, right? Obviously, each one would have a different treatment altogether. Correct. Can you talk a little bit about that part as well? That is it does the algorithm have to understand the language, or does the algorithm have to understand phonetics? Just talk a little bit about the those complexities as well.
Sure. So the way we've been able to breach the language barrier is going deeper in the word segment. So
Hmm.
for example, if I say the word player at P, I have to close my lips. Right? And this is constant across language. And like you rightfully mentioned, we are looking at a phonetic level. And the reason was that as we improve over time, adding more languages to our training set, we should also be able to deliver on languages that we have not seen in the training
Hmm.
set. Uh, Going to a phonetic level always allows you for that. So, because every language, if you think, is a combination of sounds, right? And if you train on sounds, you're automatically taking care of certain things like dialect. Um, if you look at words or language, then the same word may have different pronunciations in different dialects,
Hmm.
but the dialect itself is a sound. It sounds different. And that is how our vocal cord, our lip muscles move, right? Directly with respect to the sounds that we produce. And because we are directly attached to the speech, the sound segment, automatically these things are taken care of. So if you have one video and you have 15 languages, the input to the software would be one video and one audio at a time. And as an output, you will get 15 different videos, each changed basis the speech activations in those languages. So, for example, in one of the languages, if let's say uh, there's a dialogue in which someone is shouting, and in the another language, the content, let's say, stays same, but the person is not shouting, these two would lead to different lip movements, which again is automatically tied to speech. So that gives us a big advantage.
Fascinating. And then you're not really solving for the voice of the actor. You're essentially taking the audio input as is, and then matching the video with the new phonetics in that new language, which is the dubbed language. Is that right?
So, so we started with that. Then we realized that one massive use case, which Mandar said, was dialogue replacement. That can be solved if we look at the voice segment. But again, the voice solution here is a very specific thing, because what we realize is that the dubbing artist knows the language better, the dialect better.
Hmm.
The actor probably cannot speak that language.
Right.
So, what the solution that we have is that we take the dialect, emotions, everything from the dubbing artist, but the identity of the voice changes to that of that. Uh,
Ah,
yeah, and that is where we've seen a lot of value unlock, because it allows you to extend one video, and create multiple videos out of it just by changing the messaging. And you're not tied to who is now your dubbing artist, because you can switch the
so they
identity.
fascinating. So in the earlier example of Tom Cruise, if Tom Cruise is actually speaking in English, of course, in the original movie, there is a dubbed voice actor who's now lent their voice to Tom Cruise speaking in Arabic. Now, in the final output, it's still Tom Cruise speaking in Tom Cruise's voice in Arabic. even if that voice is actually being sort of
Correct.
switched from the voice actors
Yes.
Absolutely.
voice.
Yes.
Fascinating. That is super clever, and it again sort of makes the whole experience much more real.
Yeah.
Correct. Correct.
Because otherwise, sometimes the voice doesn't match the face, and we usually experience that. There's a little jarring experience watching dub content from that perspective as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And we have seen very interesting use cases emerge. Last year, Coca-Cola
Right.
used us for a very interesting use case, which was powered by these two technologies. So they had their asset, Harsha Bhogle, who who was present in the commentary team. So they had shot some content with him in the studio, and immediately after the match, they would release something, which is essentially repurposing of the same video with different messaging. So he would, say something very contextual about the match, about how India played and how Indian batsmen or bowlers played well. But
Yeah.
at the receiving end, it was not really like an ad. It's a message directly that you're getting because it is so contextual.
Right.
Something
Yes.
has immediately happened. It's like leveraging momentum marketing using generative AI.
Fascinating. This is pretty cool actually. Just keeping on the tech part, one other this time difficult question, which is that you talked about quality being supreme, especially for the movie business, the television business, anything that has big budgets, high budgets. Um, in in a lot of television and film content, you can't predict where the actor's voice is pointing when the speech is coming up. One of the problem statements that when the technologies had come in very early was that is there a pixelation or is there a breakage, especially if the actor is facing somewhere else, or you can see a side profile during the speech. How difficult is that problem to be solved, and where are you guys solving that particular issue?
Sure. So yes, one of the interesting thing is actually building for a place which demands very high quality,
Mhm.
because the advantage that you have there is that one, uh, you would uh, your algorithm, just by the nature of quality checks that are there, would improve significantly because of the feedback that you would get at multiple layers, right? There would be a brand, there would be the producer, there would be the deployment at the post production studio. So all of them are going to align you in a way so that you can solve for this. Uh, However, using the recent advancements in AI, the angle, the photometry, the lighting, they have been solved to quite some extent. Uh, and it's going in a direction where we can very confidently predict that in a few years from now, the issues are not going to be there. One of the challenges that was there when the algorithms came in early was that there was not enough high quality data. And for example, when you see the very good results from GPT,
Hmm.
uh, one of the big reasons was that it was a text in, text out solution. And from this, advancement from the start of the internet, text has been a common medium, and these
Yes.
large text data sets were used to do it. So any AI algorithm needs two things. One is the knowledge, that is the data set, and second is the intelligence, that is the algorithm itself. The algorithms are moving at a very high pace, and videos in last 3-4 years have come up very significantly. So it's going in a direction where in the next few years we
Hmm.
can pretty surely say it's going to be solved.
Understood. Understood. So, I mean, just flipping a little bit to the on the business side, Mandar, how is the actual delivery to customers managed? Do you folks have a sort of an app? Is there a web application? Just describe the current mechanism and how could that evolve as you go along?
Yeah. So right now we have a tool that we've
Mm.
created
Okay.
that we've kind of placed in the hands of some of our very, very close and premium customers. And it is pretty much in that effect, it is self-serve. And so the way we've designed it is very easy to use. It's a video editor. So video input, audio input, synced video back. But our ultimate North Star, as they define it, Atul, is to bring this software to the entire industry as a desktop downloadable software, which can be licensed. And then the pay-per-use model sets in. This is pretty much the playbook established by large players like Adobe Premiere Pro or DaVinci or Pro Tools, which is so important in the dubbing work, right? So we want technology to be available as a software for download and license, and then pretty much sits sweetly in the post-production suite of post-production companies, whether you are a VFX studio or a dubbing studio or a correction studio or an editing studio. That's pretty much our intent.
Understood. Understood. And then, uh, if you can talk a little bit about the current sort of clientele, is it largely movie studios? Is it broadcasters, streamers? One of the things that comes to mind is lots of advertising use cases as well that could perhaps serve, with the solution that you have. Maybe even B2B videos, right? Edutainment, travel, retail, big segments. How are you sort of looking at that side of the business?
Sure. So for example, in advertising really was not on our radar.
Okay.
Our intention was to do films and streaming. But once the technology was ready, we wanted to pilot this out to see whether when you in the commercial world, what is the validation, what is the learning, what do we need to do? And we thought let's take a subset which is of the films, which is ad films. Films are 120 minutes, ad films are 30 seconds, 1 minute. But we had a great start because in India, and this problem exists in Asia, Middle East, and Europe also, where there are many languages. And I'll come specifically to India. More than 95% of all advertising is shot in Hindi, and then it is dubbed in almost 10 to 12 languages to connect with the regional consumers. So for a person sitting in another market, it is a Hindi ad dubbed in that language, right? Which doesn't really connect with consumers. And brands don't shoot in many languages because again the big devil of production cost, right? Nobody wants to spend more money, but this technology helps solve for that. So what we wanted to pilot out turned out to be a great use case validation on two counts. A, brands are willing to use the technology for their media spends on large broadcast networks who have very high standards of S&P. So that really validated that our technology was screen and height and resolution agnostic. And the second part is they were willing to pay for it.
Hmm.
That was the second part, and that really helped us also showcase our technology on how it works on real world. And some of these creatives also had brand ambassadors, big names in that. So that really helped build a playbook. And importantly, second thing that happened was large studios in India. I can take a couple of names. Excel Entertainment, Prime Focus, Double Negative. They've been testing our technology for some of the biggest films that are being planned on their upcoming slate.
Hmm.
So that's incredible. That means the ecosystem understands the need for this technology, is also warming up to use it in a big way.
Right.
So now we are in market creation mode, and it all the action starts from this moment.
Fascinating. By the way, I was blown away by some of the examples that I was watching, especially the sports promos that you folks had. Um, the ones for cricket and IPL. Just absolutely mind-boggling. I can not make out at all that the when the players are actually speaking in different languages. It's their voice, it's their faces. So it looks pretty remarkable, actually.
Yeah. So in India, actually, whilst for example, let's take films.
Mhm.
So Bollywood stars might not have great takeaway in the other markets, right? They're not as popular, for example. But film stars cut across all languages. They cut across all geographies. Rohit Sharma is popular all over India,
That's right.
but a Kartik Aryan might be popular only in the North Hindi speaking belt, for example, right?
Yep.
From Virat Kohli, everybody loves him.
Yep.
So when for example Dream 11 put out their film for IPL, and it was a film that had all cricket stars. and they were dubbing it in many languages. They used the technology to visual dub it,
Yeah.
and it was a great experience for us.
Fascinating. And then the other aspects is any recent examples where you know actors who are sort of moving about or looking in different directions. Again, I'm going back to the tech piece earlier.
Mhm.
How's that experience been? Does it elongate the length or the processing time in those kind of situations from a logistical perspective?
No, so it
Not
is,
really.
yeah,
Well,
yeah. So a part I'll answer, Mandar will augment answer. So essentially, to us, the way we built it, angle is not a problem.
Okay.
But having said that, it will get better with time. And certainly, the main barrier to that was the training data that you acquire.
Uh,
Because to learn on various angles, you have to have data on various angles. So obviously, that is something that will get better over time. But a recent example would be how Ultratech Cements used us, where Shah Rukh Khan himself was the brand ambassador, and he is shot for it entirely in Hindi, and then it was recreated in English. I still see that ad running on TV, and I feel very proud because the creative was approved by him himself. So again, there are various angles in that. There are various scales, various shots. So that kind of proves, that technology is production ready, and
right.
if it can work on the biggest actor in the world with his
Right.
own approval, because I know when I test on myself, I'm much more, uh, critical. So if a star like Shah Rukh can approve it, so I think it is definitely production ready.
Got it. Fascinating. The one just on the technology piece, one other question was the generative AI sort of tech that you talked about. If you can just maybe describe a little bit about that, both how the technology was developed as well as what are the next set of challenges that you're working on right now?
Sure. So essentially, when we started this, the lip sync was the only solution that we wanted to build because we saw that content
Uh,
was already getting dubbed, and the
mm,
part that was missing was the lip sync bit, right? And so we started with that, and over time we have been able to improve the quality itself. And when I say quality, there are multiple pillars in that. The first pillar is retaining the quality of the original video, which is very important in this case because uh, things have to run on TV, and you don't control what sizes the TVs are, so it can run on an airport as well. Like you said, it cannot get pixelated. So retention of input quality was a big hurdle that we had to cross.
right.
Uh, and but the most important bit for us, where we saw the big aha moment, was when you could make the results look very natural.
Mm.
So, I mean, there are a lot of quantitative measures, but from a subjective standpoint, there are three measures that you can do for any AI algorithm. One
Right.
is that you look at it and you directly say, look, it is AI, right? And it can add value to comprehension, but for a quality standpoint, it won't work. The second one is that if you look at it casually, you won't realize, but if I tell you it's AI, you look hard enough, you'll find it. And the third one is even if I tell you it's not possible to recognize. And right now, I think we are between the last two pillars. And our
Right.
aim obviously would be to reach the end there. Uh, but again, the biggest challenges that we have faced has been the quality aspect of it, because expectations of this industry, and rightfully so, is very high
Right.
because they are, very creative people who are telling an emotional story to connect with the viewers. And technology, if used, cannot reduce the quality of the story. It can only enhance it. So
Right.
we as creators of the technology have to keep that in mind and enable these creators to tell the story in the way they want, not be limited by technology rather.
Uh, And yeah, and just from an operational perspective, is the you mentioned that you sort of sit in between post production and distribution, correct? And is there something that let's say filmmakers or sort of creators have to do to have better downstream effects, or more seamless downstreaming into your tech? Or is it plug and play? You can take any content at any point of time, and you are able to sort of work with it without any prior sort of uh, planning for this type of localization.
So part of it I can answer, Mandar. Actually, Mandar, you start with it. I think I'll augment one.
So basically, we've built the technology so that it is plug and play.
Okay.
Because I mean, a film or a large format show, or even for example, when you go to broadcast content, there are multiple actors,
Huh,
multiple camera angles, multiple lighting angles,
huh.
multiple voice tracks. So to create data sets for each one would be a very, very cumbersome problem, and that really has an impact on time, delivery, execution, right? The way we have built our technology is, and Shubho used that word, it's literally plug and play.
Okay.
There is, the way we
I-
designed it is, there is no need to have prior data sets or prior data for the actors, and that is a very, very big solve that we've been able to achieve.
So it almost means that you can actually sort of attack large libraries of archival content. You can actually sort of do scripted, unscripted, as long as there is a dubbing
Yes,
available.
yes.
You folks could actually sort of take it up and make sure that the output then looks as natural as it can be, even with
Yes.
uh,
So
dubbing.
interesting. So what we have realized, and we spoke to like tons of people in the ecosystem, especially people who hold large libraries of films.
Huh,
So what we have realized is, prior to 2000,
huh,
dubbing was not done in independent actor tracks. So there
huh,
were no voice channels available for different actors in the same scene. But after 2000, after the year 2000, those independent voice tracks and channels are available for actors in the same scene. So we feel that with our technology, at least archival libraries post 2000 will be able to go through the pipe as and when we scale the software. So
okay.
obviously, to go through, I mean, for example, let's take, say, Shemaru, for example,
Huh,
or Tips in India. These are uh, producers with a large library of content, right? For them to completely change their library to multiple languages, completely synced, is
huh,
going to be massive, because now they can create commerce in markets that were not available to them earlier.
huh.
Right now, the same piece of movie which are short, which is one IP, one
Right,
movie, one IP, right? Now potentially it can turn into 50 IPs.
right. That's right. That's right. Fascinating. And then in this particular case, let's say you encountered a completely new language for the first time. Does your system require any training on the language piece?
I think, look, the Shubho did mention earlier that our technology has been built with sound and
Phonetics and
base units of sound as phonemes as the building block, right? So
right,
as long as the language is made of sounds,
right.
it will work.
Got it.
I mean,
Got
with a little fiddling, if you invent tomorrow a new language which is made entirely of sounds and which
it.
leads to lip movements, uh, we've seen, there are many African languages, for example,
Huh,
that are clicks. I mean, they're sound, but they're clicks. I mean, there
that's
are
right.
no mouth movements.
Yep.
So it might not possibly work there, but if sound based and leading to mouth movements, our technology will work.
Understood. Understood.
Hmm.
Fascinating. And then what's the plan for expansion? One of the key aspects from a Vitrina sort of community perspective is international expansion, partnerships. How are you guys sort of thinking about that, as you grow the business?
Yeah, so we currently, our main goal, and we are in the middle of raising our next round of capital. After we do that raise, our goal is to set up our first international office in LA, because that's really the entertainment capital of the world. This is where the whole entertainment ecosystem, whether it's streaming or films, it all converges. We want to really establish ourselves in LA and showcase our technology to all the key people and stakeholders,
Hmm,
and hopefully get a quick pilot out. In the meanwhile, then obviously there is a Middle East market and there's a Asia market. So Japan and Korea are big markets in that sense, where they create a lot of content which
Huh,
can now be repurposed for international audiences
huh,
in a way using VisualDub. So that is all a part of our expansion plans.
huh,
But to address all of this, we are building that software that can be licensed, because that really gives us global scale in one instance. And then really
huh,
our job is to be seen at all of these exhibitions and events like MIPCOM, MIPTV that happen, where we can showcase our technology to the entire consumer set. We mentioned, Atul, that tomorrow, if you, I mean, you building a large community, right? And if you ever create, say, an event around post production, I
huh.
mean, those are the kind of events that we will obviously participate in.
Got it. So actually, I wanted to pivot into the partnerships piece. Who are your natural allies and partners? Let's take LA as an example, right? Who would be the ideal partners in LA? Is it post production? Is it visual effects? Is it bit of maybe on the technology side? How would you describe that?
I think our obvious partnership set is post production,
Okay.
because everything really comes there, whether it's VFX or dubbing
Uh,
or color correction. So that really becomes our source from everything will start.
okay.
In fact, I don't want to take names, because these are all conversations that have happened in the past and which are warm. A
Uh,
lot of international dubbing studios have reached out to us,
uh,
also VFX companies, for either for representation or partnership,
uh,
or a possibility of an acquisition.
uh,
And whilst acquisition is too early right now, but on the partnerships bit, we are very keen to explore. But that will happen once the software is ready,
uh,
which is about 12 months away. I mean, probably less than that. That it also includes time for testing. But once that
under-
is done, then it's a easy solve, because then you have access to the software, and then you can pretty much build an entire business around it.
Understood. Understood. Fascinating. And congratulations on the TechCrunch, spotlight as well. Uh, can you talk a little bit about what the award was for, and how was the overall experience?
Look, I'll give you my part, and I'm going to let Shubho take this away. So when this happened, actually, I was very impervious to it, because look, I didn't really care, because I'm not from that world. I'm not a techie, so I don't understand the importance of being selected for Disrupt. So I was very nonchalant. But Shubho was jumping like a little boy, because obviously he's been following this for years and big names have come for it. It's also part of a very big show that he loves. So I just bounced off his excitement. So I'm going to let him lead this piece.
And
Shubho,
and just for context, for all the listeners, VisualDub was selected by TechCrunch, and that explains why both Mandar and Shubho are actually in San Francisco Bay Area at this
yeah.
very moment. But Shubho, please go ahead and tell us, all the exciting stuff about that selection and how the experience was.
Yeah, so essentially, TechCrunch, has been running startup battlefield for quite some time now, and large startups like Dropbox, Intuit have debuted on this battlefield platform. So it was, incredibly, uh, you know, humbling for us to be present at this platform. And what was really interesting was that we were the only startup in the video and entertainment category who made it here
Huh,
this year. And overall, I think there were three startups from India who were lucky to be selected here. And the experience was phenomenal. The ecosystem, from the investors, whether there are other fellow founders, who are hustling away, and in the uh, startup capital of the world, SF. So it was really a very interesting experience for us, meeting everybody in the ecosystem. We've got a lot of interesting meetings post that, because of which we stayed back. And also, yeah, one of the advantages is also that you for your lifetime you get a free entry to Disrupt. And I mean, people like Musk, Peter Thiel have attended these events, including Zuckerberg. So this becomes a really big event for any techie who's out there.
fascinating, fascinating. Again, heartiest congratulations on the honor, and the fact that you were able to sort of showcase your tech also as the only entertainment company at the TechCrunch Disrupt event. Um, so, thank you very much for speaking to the Vitrina community. This is a big problem to sort of solve. It's actually just growing as more and more languages are sort of crossing borders that
Yeah.
traditionally they've never crossed, and then to make the overall viewing experience as natural as possible.
Correct. Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Atul. I mean, it was great connecting with you after all these years. I mean, we've been interacting on LinkedIn and on phone, but nothing beats a coffee catch up. Thank you for your time, and thank you for inviting us to your podcast. We've been following this for a long time, and we love the work that you are doing. Getting this entire community together, and this is something that was, I think, need of the hour. So we're just happy to be here, and thank you.
Fantastic. Uh, Awesome.
All right.